Welcome to the Igniting the CEO Within podcast, where we interview successful high-level professionals to discover lessons they've learned throughout their career that can help ignite that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge, and I'll be your host for the next 15 minutes or so. Our show is sponsored by Quade, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quade has developed Launchpad, which offers an opportunity for experienced executive coaches to become licensed circle directors. After completing the Launchpad program, you'll lead your own peer advisory circles, helping other CEOs and entrepreneurs excel in their professional and personal lives while providing a community of support, accountability, and challenge. To learn more, go to quadecircle.com. Really excited about our show today. I get to hang out with Jermall Harvey. He's the COO of Credit Geeks out of Chicago, Illinois. Jermall, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Man, I'm excited to talk. Hey, look, you've had the opportunity in your career to be exposed to a bunch of different leaders, and some of those leaders have been really, really good, and others maybe not so much. If you were to start to dial it down into a trait or two that separates the really good leaders from the not so great leaders, what would those look like?
Uh, that's a great question, and thanks for asking. Essentially, from my experience of being involved with many different leaders, I find that the trait that best works is when you can adjust to your talent, when you're able to adjust, not essentially put your talent in a system that may work for you, but actually adjusting to the talent and what they bring to the table. Just like football, the Patriots were so successful because they changed their defense and their offense week after week, so that you couldn't adjust to what they had, and they added little wrinkles. And that's the same thing in business. You want to adjust and be able to add wrinkles and add value to the person so that they can add value to your company.
As a Colts fan, I really hate that you brought up the Patriots, but that's okay. We'll let that slide. No,
Hey,
you're
hey,
you're huh?
Peyton did you all well, so you're good.
That's all right. That's right. Yeah, I like that a lot, right? I mean, one of the big things that you want to do as a leader is put your people in a position to be successful.
Absolutely, 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 and you do that by, like I said, once again, just being able to really find out what they're good at, being able to adjust to that and actually implement that in your system instead of just saying, "Hey, this is what needs to be done. I need you to do this." Because a lot of times, talent, when you talk about people, they have so many different things that they're good at. And to kind of just limit them and to box them in, to marginalize them to certain things actually doesn't do good for your business. So being able to expand on, what the talent brings to the table is always good and necessary for growing business that are trying to scale for sure.
Yeah, I like that. As a business and kind of like a football team, right? You've got goals, you've got mission. Whether it's winning your division or winning the Super Bowl. Ultimately, same thing happens in business. So you've got the goals that are set out there. And, a big part of that leader is figuring out who you have on your team, how to put them in position to be successful so that you can move towards that goal that you have of trying to get there. So, I mean, you've seen this happen a lot. Like, how do you hire somebody for a position, a customer service representative or a sales exec or something along those lines. How do you how do you go about finding out, you know, all their skills that they have in addition to what you originally hired them for, so you can find out what all they're really good at and take advantage of all they have to offer?
Um, well, it's really about not only homing in on their skills, but what are their ambitions? What are their goals? What are they willing to learn? What are they willing to help with? What are they willing to sacrifice to get to another level within the company so that they can grow? So a lot of times, in the job market and in any professional field, you have to learn, you have to get trained, you have to learn the skill set. So if the person is willing to learn the skill set of the business and what it takes to actually be successful in the company. And a lot of times, especially in today's society, people want to feel like they're a part of the family. So it's about embracing that family environment, understanding the person, really being there, and not treating them like they're a number at a Fortune 500 or a small business or whatever you may have. And I think from there you find out what people can do, and you'll be surprised of what other talents that you can get out of them to add to your company.
That I think that's a really, really good point of, you've got to build that culture that people understand where you're going, how you're going to get there, what their role is in helping you get there, and for them to know that a big part of that culture is you're going to help them achieve their goals and their dreams, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's the same saying: happy wife, happy life, happy employees, happy company. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
happy and they come into work smiling and they feel motivated and challenged, that speaks volumes for your company, and that self-esteem's growth.
And that's, a big part of that falls on the leader, the CEO or the business owner of, helping to set that vision of where we're going so that people can rally around that, don't you think?
Absolutely. You just, I mean, environment is everything. And
Uh-huh.
life and culture and business. I mean, if your environment is tending and is a good energy, you can definitely get people to buy into it, to buy into anything. I'll tell a short story. We know some companies that are Fortune 500 companies that really just have a bad product, but people buy into the branding, they buy into the culture, and them companies have outlasted human beings on this earth. So
Uh-huh.
it's about environment. Mhm.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's right. So, as you start to see and look at folks that are setting that vision, how uh, how much of it boils down to their ability to communicate?
Um, a lot of it, because being able to communicate your vision to people and actually have them buy into it takes a lot of um, it takes a lot of groundwork. You know, you can hire, people to do roles that they've never done before, or you can hire somebody who doesn't have the vision, and your company is not going to be successful. So you definitely, have to make sure that you're not only putting the right people in the right roles, but you're also putting the right team together so that the pieces fit in order to grow, grow together. And a lot of times, the same saying is hire slow, fire fast.
Yeah.
You definitely have to keep that balance in how you're growing and how you're scaling your company.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. I think, a lot of times it you've got to figure out exactly what you need and then just make sure that your standards stay that way, right? Don't just settle for the next best hire, right? You want
Yeah,
to hold out
and
for
the next best hire, and finding really, really good quality, um, you know, components to add to your company and help and talent. That's really, really, really important. Especially with the new generation. I mean, yes, it's about, building legacy and money, but the new generation actually wants to feel really appreciated. When I speak of the new generation, I talk about the Gen Z. They really want to feel appreciated and involved. So you are always adjusting, from maybe the baby boomers to the Gen X to the millennials to the Gen Z, on how business is done and how and where we're taking business at. So you always have to be cognizant of how you're moving, how you're growing, how you're scaling, what teams you're putting together, what's the vision? Do they get the vision? Because throughout the generations, the visions change, and we find ourselves in this kind of sticky point where we're trying to, bridge the generation gap in what we see together.
Yeah, that can be a real challenge too, right? If, if you've established a culture and it is whatever, and then you start to bring in, you start to see people that are coming in that the generationally think differently than what the historic culture has been, that transition can be really tricky.
Yeah, it's really hard to find successors, and that's why we have so many baby boomer businesses that are becoming available because a lot of the younger generation who they have in their family don't want to support, run, or be involved because they have different visions on how they see their life. But even though it may be a for-profit money maker, like you say, it's all about goals, visions, and alignment. So that's really big.
Yeah. 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 No doubt. Jamal, this has been really fun. When you start to think back, I'm changing it on you a little bit. When you start to think back and you look back to you when you were 21 years old, what's one thing that you wish 21-year old Jamal would have known that you've learned over these years?
21-year-old Jamal wished that he would have more so followed the trend of the S&P and 500s, the stock market, kind of, really got to see that path of kind of where Bitcoin was going and just that nuances of how the market was kind of changing right underneath our eyes, but we knew, but we weren't really uh into it to really understand the dynamic that it would have 15 years later. But more so on the investing part, I think that I would definitely be uh, do some things different as far as it comes to that. But as far as just my skill and where I've grown from 21, I'm pretty happy about that. But yeah, the investing part, to help me get further in life would have been good. Now that I do invest, I'm at that point. But if I had that 20 years before, could have been a little further. But other than that, that's about it.
It's good advice. Hey man, do me a favor. This has been a blast. Would you share with our audience how what an engagement looks like with you and a lot of the work that you do, and then how can people get a hold of you?
Yes. So engagement for us is the name of our company is Credit Geeks. And essentially what we do is we help consumers and we help business owners leverage their credit or rebuild to restore their credit. That can be from derogatory information to building your credit so that you can leverage it. A lot of times people don't understand that they can leverage their credit in order to get cash flow if they have a good idea and they have something that is sustainable to generate more cash flow. And we also talk to educational institutions. We talk to kids and young adults about how to manage their credit, how to build their credit, so that when they get to the age of the 21 and older, they have sustainable cash flow because you need that in today's world. But you can get in contact with us at www.creditgeeksinc.com. We're located nationwide. We have offices in Miami and Chicago, and we've been in business for over 15 years. So we're sustainable, and we would love to help anybody that needs our help.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations, man, and thanks for hanging out with me today.
I really appreciate you having us. Thanks so much.
You bet. All right, y'all. We did it again. We found another amazing leader to share his insights on leadership and how best to get you to that CEO seat that you want. As we wrap it up, I want to remind you that Igniting the CEO Within is sponsored by Quade, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quade has created Launchpad, which provides an opportunity for experienced executive coaches to become licensed circle directors and significantly impact the lives of CEOs and entrepreneurs. To find out more, visit quadecircle.com. Until next time, keep igniting that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge. Thanks for listening.